Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments Midweek Model Meet. So I'm sitting here today with John Alex Scale Modeling, and we're going to talk about what's on our bench. Not only that, we're going to do some actual modeling on our bench. How about that? That's a new one for midweek. How are you, John?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. The weather is crappy in the UK. I suppose it makes the grass grow.
It's been
Too
raining,
fast, actually.
right?
Too fast.
We saw moss went down to Cornwall, and it looked like it was November.
It looked horrible. But he said he was going to go surfing, and I was like, well, yeah, good luck with that.
That's funny.
So let's have a look, see who we have in. Paul Christopher, welcome. Gremlins Modeling Mayhem. I'll get my teeth in tonight. Steve T, welcome all. We've got David Markey. We've got Kitchen Table Modeler. Funnily enough, I am on my dining room table. You can see I have relocated here. It's a little bit of a more open position. So hopefully it'll make it easier for me to show stuff on my bench rather than where I was before, which was teensy little bit cramped. John Christmas, welcome. Scotty's Scale Studio. I'm liking the 3-word, like all beginning with the same, aka Man's Model Moments kind of thing. It's always good. Plenty of those around. Penny's Pit Stop, welcome, Penny. Phil, good evening. Mark Stott, Julian Hall. How's the hay fever today? We'll see. And I think Andrew Gilbert, that brings us up to date. So as always, guys, if you do have a question or a comment, remember to put it in capitals, like capital question or QQQ or comment or something, just so that John and I can pick it up. And yeah, because I should make you a moderator, but I'm a bit.
Don't worry.
StreamYard is not my favorite, so trying to work out all its intricacies, I haven't quite got to yet. But yeah, just tell me if I've missed something. Graham Coxon, good evening, welcome. So, what have you got on your bench at the moment, then, John?
I guess 3 things. I've got the 124th trumpeter Stuka that I've been working on. I have the brand new ICM Model A Phaeton.
Yeah, I've been watching those builds.
I'm really enjoying it. You know that I've just worked with older ICM kits, and I've been a little frustrated with them, and so you absolutely convinced me to go ahead and try a brand new ICM kit. And I'm really glad that you have. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, the night and day from the old stuff to the new. So
I'm making good progress on that. I got to lay down the 2K, and the other thing I'm doing is the 135th Markava 2D from Border Models. It's a brand new kit, and I'm building that for someone. So I've been kind of blazing through it, trying to get it done. And a very good friend of mine, so I want to get that done and get that sent to him. That's what I got going. Yeah.
Well, I've got a little less on my bench, sort of in active service at the moment. Well, I say a little less. I've got. I think you made a comment on airfix and chill a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there that week.
Right.
But it was headaches in modeling.
Yeah.
And I think what you said is the end process, the finishing of the model, is part of that headache for you. And I absolutely concur. That's the bit that I often struggle with, when you've done the main building, you've done the enjoyable painting bit, and now you kind of got all these gribbly bits to kind of, sub-assemblies to just get together to finish it. And you got to be careful of some of those pieces of what you've already done in case you knock them and things. Yeah. And then you see another shiny new project where you can just build stuff, and it's like that's where I kind of get to. So I've got a couple of things which are at a really late stage. So one is the F15, the Tamiya F15.
Okay.
I had another stab at that recently. So the thing that was holding me up was the decals.
Okay.
So I just knuckled down and printed some. I thought I didn't have exactly what I wanted, so I just made some to get the 65th Aggressor Squadron pieces that I need, and they all came out pretty well. I just need the numbering, like the Russian style numbering, and I have a decal sheet of those. I don't know where I put it. So I've got that. I've got the B-26 Marauder that I need to finish. I kind of want to do that on camera because I've got the first 26 hours of that 24-hour build plus the 2-hour that I put on additionally. Almost finished a video on that, compressing that down to 26 minutes. So turning an hour into a minute for that. So it'd be nice to finish that on camera so it makes a complete thing. But I might do that as a separate video. I have to make that choice. But the main thing I'm actually working on at the moment, as people will have seen in some of the live streams, is the XB70, which is the front of the fuselage. And people will see it's come on a little from the last stream. So some of the channel members will have seen the pictures of the interior of the cockpit, which you'll be able to see almost nothing of course, when that gets put on. So yeah, it's a big old beast. Those are the wings.
It's gigantic.
It's huge. That's the main fuselage. Those 6 engines. What an insane plane!
Yeah,
honestly. Only the US or the Soviet Union would have ever conceived and actually built such a monster. I don't think even China would do that. But that's the principal things that I've got on the go. The Panther, I'm still finishing the damn tracks on that. That again, it got to 95%, and it's just that 5% of those damn tracks. It's such a thankless task. So
especially link and link, yeah,
just link. Yeah, and there's a lot of links.
Yeah, link in link. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been kind of putting it more into the I finished the Tamiya 1/12 scale Lotus 49.
That turned out great.
Finished that commission. I could actually put some pictures down. I threw some on the Discord. That's why John knows what it kind of looks like. Yeah. But
not great.
They weren't white balanced or anything, so they were pretty rough. But I do have some. I think actually, I can't show you because they're on an SD card, and all my USB ports are currently occupied. So it's all of you guys' fault. Because if I wasn't doing a stream, I could show you, but then there wouldn't be anybody to show. So. A couple of questions coming up. Question: where are you going to display the XB70 when you're done? Looks too big to get out the door. So obviously the XB70 is actually going to become the B70. So this is going to be in Southeast Asia camouflage scheme. So I'll do it. It'll be like the F111s. It'll be black underneath. And then Southeast Asia camera on the top. But that'll be displayed at the shop. So one of the great things about having the shop is there's nice big areas to display models in the windows. So yeah,
cool.
Big model at home doesn't look quite so big in a shop. So that's where it'll live. Getting it to the shop might be an issue, but that's another thing. Question about ordering kits you don't have on the site, Alex. How big of a pain is it to get special orders for people? Is it no problem, or do you find it annoying or a chore? It's absolutely no problem at all. The main thing I've been trying to do is every new order that comes in the door in terms of my suppliers, I try to make sure that goes on the site first, and then I'll gradually backfill all of the other stuff, like all the second-hand bits and things. Until then, it's absolutely no problem at all to just go specifically for people into things. So, yeah, no hassle at all, Steve.
Cool.
In fact, in some instances, it's easier because sometimes I've had a few issues with the site software, where it's actually allowed people to order things which are out of stock, which you shouldn't do. There are specific flags that you can put on the website, and I actually checked with one which was ordered, which usefully told me there were -1 available because it automatically deducts the stock. And it's like, yeah, I know there's -1 because there isn't one. So why did you do it? There's a little flag that you can put, allowed to order when out of stock, which is fine if you've got a current kit produced by Airfix or something. Not always. But by default, I don't have that ticked. And it wasn't in this instance. So sometimes it makes mistakes, and then I have to get back to people and say, look, I'm really sorry. Not only have you not got this, I can't get it from my suppliers, because I always check on the suppliers and either say, it's done it in error, it'll be a couple of days before I can get it in. Is that okay? Or it's just had a balls up. And there have been a few glitches over the past couple of weeks. So apologies to anybody who's listening who's had to wait for stuff more than a couple of days. There have been a few that have been like a week before the system has notified me, and I've managed to get. Well, the Royal Mail hasn't helped because we've had some issues there as well. But so if you do specific things, I'm much more in control of that. So in some ways, it can be preferable. Not so much for paints and things; that kind of stuff is all easy. But kits sometimes the site has a bit of a, yeah, he should be able to sell that, no problem. And it's just this is the rise of AI. This is the threat we face. This is how the insidious thin end of the wedge comes in.
It's evil.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm going to add my my action cam onto stage.
I can switch too. So hold on.
Let's get that a little bit more. So this is actually, this camera is the BenQ, the Idea S1 Pro or whatever it's called. The one that I did a review on fairly recently on the channel. So this is the instrument panel for the XB70. So this is just a decal on the. It has got a textured bit.
Oh, those acrylic decal things that you.
No, this is just. Well, Italeri do use cartograph, so it adheres really well to the to the raised contours of the instrument panel behind, which aren't that high. It just gives it a little bit of texture. You won't see this at all, of course. Okay. But this actually does nicely, and I did check this obviously beforehand, but this kind of goes in like so. It just kind of has a little lip on the top there. Oops.
I see.
So it's easy to put in afterwards. So I didn't want to put it in before because obviously, being an original AMT kit, the the fit is
horrendous.
Okay. I would say it's okay.
Not optimal.
Yeah. But the advantage of it being the Italeri plastic is it's a lot softer than the old AMT stuff. So, So I sprayed all of the undercarriage white. So normally in an XB70, it's like aluminium and steel. But obviously, operational US aircraft generally have white undercarriage, so I did that. Give it a bit of an oil wash just to bring out some of the detail. Again, you won't see too much of this. And then, of course, the tires will need painting, so I'll mask the hubs off and do that. Big chunky units. I'll probably put some brake lines on those. So just have to look at some reference photos. A lot of wheels, though.
How many wheels does it have?
10.
Oh.
So that's 4 on each of the main landing gears and then 2 on the nose.
All
so
right,
it's like an airliner.
Airbus 380 or something.
Yeah, yeah. Which I guess is a kind of comparable size, right?
George asked a question about grit size for sandpaper.
Oh, that's a good one. What are yours, John?
So my sanding sticks here are 400, 600. And I probably use the 600 more. Gotta get a new one. If the plastic is dense, I'll use a 400. And then for sanding sponge, it's lighter. So I'm usually somewhere like around 1,000, 1,200, 1,500. Especially for like curved surfaces, and so if you use this, sometimes it leaves scratch lines, right? So when you're sanding, it leaves a bit of a rough surface. You can come in with some sanding sponges that are between 1,000 and 1,500 and smooth those out. Yeah.
Now you see, John has a lot more patience than I do because I tend to be a little bit more aggressive. It also depends on what I'm working on, right? So if I've built something, so if I've got sprue goo, or a really bad fit, I'll start with a 280, and then go to a 400, and then 600. Because for me, it's about getting the job done, and the kind of places that I'm doing that are probably. I'm going to come in with lighter grades anyway, so I'm not too worried about getting, some scratches. If I've been filling somewhere, it's about getting it all down, so that I can get in with those lighter grades. Because otherwise, if you go in with a 400 or a 600, you'll be there forever.
Yeah, absolutely, George. This is my bag of, and these are all 3,000 grit.
Wow.
Because
I don't think I've ever used this.
I use them, especially for cars.
Yeah.
And then I've got these Tamiya ones. They're so expensive. Oh my gosh. So here's 240, 320. This is 180. It's like a tiger's tongue.
Yeah, 180 I think is too rough for most things, or just about anything really.
1,000, and this is 5,000 grit for car. And then I've got these little. I don't use these very much. 6,000. So these are really fine. 8,000.
Wow.
Yeah, 12,000.
I mean, that's just paper, isn't it?
Yeah, I could probably use a paper towel, and it would be. Yeah, this is so smooth, right? If I shaved in the morning and my face was that smooth, I'd be happy.
Okay, I'm trying to work out how to remove myself and keep my. Okay. I might go mute for a minute because I think this will remove my main audio.
No problem. Oh, I see England equalized. No problem, George. You know, they sell these metal things too, but they're extremely coarse. So if you get one of these Tamiya file sets, so these are good for like PE, or if you want to cut through some plastic real quick, these work good.
Okay, I just stopped my camera because I can't I can't work out how to do that.
No problem.
Oh, actually, okay, I can remove myself entirely and then add myself back in.
Yeah, and then he can just pick one of those when he comes back in. There you go. Oh, I'm gonna go grab a beer before the missus comes home.
Okay, well, that didn't work at all. I'll just work with as it is.
Keeps bringing up the other one.
Yeah, I think it's because I started with that as the main one, so
Oh,
there's
I
no
see.
way to actually just like remove it completely. Yeah, because this camera is classed as an extra camera.
Oh.
That's interesting. Streamlabs thinks my connection is unstable. I'm literally a meter from my Wi-Fi router. It's like I couldn't be any closer, dude. It's like,
Great.
I suppose I could actually sit it physically on top of the computer, but madness.
All right. I'm trying to lose a little weight myself, so I have a 1 beer a day allowance.
Wow. So I can have. So actually, it's only 1,800 calories, right? That I'm eating a day, or supposed to be eating a day. But it doesn't matter what form that is, particularly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like restricted, but it's only between the hours of 9 and 3. So 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So this intermittent fasting regime.
Yes.
Which actually seems to be working pretty well. I don't really get hungry during the evenings. I don't get cravings for snacks or anything. So I don't know really how that works, but it does seem to be.
I need to put these on. See what the heck I'm doing.
I'm just watching my camera. I'm doing the keyhole surgery version of modeling. This must have been really hard to do as the original AMT kit with their plastic.
Yeah, it's even their new kits, man. It's the plastic it's really brittle and
This is since round two of
yes.
Yeah. I like the kind of the self-serving nature of that name. It's kind of just like second chance. Not quite calling your company like Last Chance Saloon or anything, but it's not far off.
I need to clean these.
Now, I just can't get enough glue into this bloody seam. Julian says, I assume there are different favorite sandpapers for different kinds of modelers. Different kinds of models, sorry. Car modelers like high numbers for polishing as much as sanding. I think that's true, Julian.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very true. So actually what I used on that Mia F1 Lotus after the varnish was not actually a sandpaper. I mean, same kind of thing, a sanding stick, but it was a polishing stick that a nail file type, the foam nail polishers. I don't know what grit they count as, but that does polishing pretty well, as the name suggests, I guess. Yeah, I've always found this, Graham, talking about a couple of people talking about hay fever. I never really got. I always thought when it rained, it should really like lessen the amount of pollen in the air. Logic would kind of make you think it kind of would wash it out, but it doesn't, does it? It kind of causes it to sort of hits the ground where it is and causes it all to sort of puff up into the air. So I do find when it's been raining, it's often worse for hay fever than when it's just dry and hot, which is very counterintuitive. You guys are getting a good view of my hands as I kind of try and weld this thing together with force.
Come on, fit.
I mean, it's not terrible. Oh, damn it. Okay, fortunately, I've only just done that. So I forgot that there are a couple of lugs which lock this front piece in. Oopsie. So this kit does kind of seem to actively fight you when you're trying to make it. It's like some of the location lugs and stuff seem to like force it apart rather than together.
Great.
Yeah, I mean the wheels. I actually ended up cutting all of the locating pins off because they were actually making things worse. I think that, I don't know if you can see, is kind of stepped. That is not a good alignment there.
Yeah.
It's like the plastic is two different thicknesses. And it's creating this massive gap there. Oh well, lots of sprue goo to be used. But I mean, that's basically a club now. Look at that. It's like a katana handle. Insane. So with a great big long seam like this, I'll probably go back and backfill all this with sprue goo, just to actually make sure there is a proper bond all the way along there.
Yeah.
When it's kind of dry.
The other thing about sanding, you get that, especially with sticks, you get that. So if I'm sanding like this, and I'm sanding, there's like a little ridge of plastic that builds up on the other side, or on one of the sides, that you have to kind of scrape away, you know.
Yeah. Question, where do most of you do your modeling? Do you have a dedicated hobby room, or are you getting in the way on the kitchen table?
I'm in my office here. I have a hobby space down in my basement, but I don't particularly enjoy being in the dungeon, so I'm just kind of, this is it. This is what you see. This is my modeling space. So, yeah. How about you, Alex?
So I have different spaces, right? So I have, I actually have a dedicated place at the shop, so I can do bits when I'm at the shop when it's quiet, and I can also do unboxings there. So I've got a camera set up so that I can do unboxings there at the shop, which is convenient. I then have my garage, which has been converted into a man cave. I have an issue with some of the lights, the electrics and the lights at the moment, which is why I'm not out there as much. It also has no heating, so it's fine in the summer. It gets a bit too cold. I do have a little heater in there, but it's not the ideal space for all the time.
Okay.
And then at the moment I have. So I was up in the study, the spare room, for streaming. Now I've kind of moved down here into the dining room. We don't really use the dining room at all. Even when we have guests, we don't kind of really use it much. Because if we're going out for dinner, we tend to go out for dinner rather than having people around for dinner.
Got it.
So we tend to just, have drinks and stuff in the front room. So this is a bit more convenient for streaming. Using this dining table gives me a bit more space. It means I'm not having to shift things about quite as much, which was one of the banes of the other piece. So it's kind of not in the way in the kitchen table in that way because we don't use it. Browsing tank kits right now. Do all tanks have those rubber tracks? So Steve, unfortunately, No, is the answer. And I say unfortunately because it's difficult to tell what type of tracks they have without actually looking in the box, unless you see a review. Fortunately now with YouTube, there are so many reviews of stuff, especially near stuff, you can generally find out if they don't tell you on the box.
Or ScaleMates, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ScaleMates, or just go to YouTube and browse,
That's true.
unboxing review of whatever, The newer kits, which tend to be, of course, the more expensive ones, often have length and link. I say often; they sometimes do, sometimes not. The older kits, it's almost all rubber band. Yeah, I think this is one of the issues that a lot of people have with working on a other used space, is you get a lot of time setting up and then carefully putting everything away, and a dedicated space allows you to leave stuff.
That's true. That's true.
That also can have its drawbacks because sometimes you can leave too much stuff, and then you need to clear it all out, or you've got other kit bits there, or you end up losing bits because you haven't put them away properly. So a certain amount of discipline is definitely needed to make a dedicated space work, I would say.
So my wife also uses this space. In the morning she gets up really early, and she comes. We just have the one computer, and she has her coffee, and she sits here and stuff. So she's respectful of if I leave something out. She kind of doesn't touch it, but at the same time, I don't risk it, right?
Yeah.
So I try to keep this area as sort of clean as I can, and I've got a lot of space sort of behind me and to the side of me where I keep everything, so it's good.
Oh, here's a good question. Connecting parts for gluing, tape or clamps, or does it vary case by case, size, fragility, etc.? I would certainly say, so as you've just seen, I've glued this together. I haven't used tape or clamps. In general, I try to avoid using any if I can get away with it. Now, this is a case where it might have been better, but then I don't really want to risk that until I get to the stage of putting that on the actual fuselage, because there might be flex needed. The reason I try not to use sort of clamps or tape if possible is because if you're clamping something, it's exerting constant force, right? Which is why it works. If you're not careful, you can end up distorting how the part sits together, and either warping a part or gluing it in a way that isn't right, that will change the shape of the fuselage on a plane or something. And I guess how I know, that's absolutely happened to me before. Tape is much gentler, of course. The problem I find with tape, especially if you're using something like Tamiya extra thin, is that can be another capillary surface for the glue to run along. So it depends how you're using it. So you want to make sure that the glue is not liquid when you're putting on the tape. So don't put the tape on and then put your glue, because it will run along all of those edges and potentially cause a huge mess. And then end up with more work to clean up. I do have some burner clamps. So I don't know if you mentioned these before. Don't think I've got any to hand to show you. But these are basically, they're clear plastic clamps with a silicon rubber little, this sort of shape, yellow.
Yeah.
And they're connected with a carbon fiber rod. So they exert much less pressure than a traditional clamp. So they exert the same sort of pressure that your fingers do. So if I have to use clamps, I'll try to use those by preference. But to answer your question, in a concise manner, it varies case by case. Always, I would say. How about you, John? What do you find about using clamps? Is it different for cars as well? Because I did end up clamping that car a few times, but that I think was the age of the model rather than yes.
I agree. If I can use my fingers, I'll use my fingers for sure, because with my fingers, I can change how do I put it? Like it'll fit good here.
Yeah.
If you tape it, you got to worry about this. And so our fingers are so tactile, right? And so we can exert very fine pressure across. Next would be tape. I agree with everything Alex said. You got to be worried about wicking in. And then if I use clamps, I just use these. So I'll use these particularly for wings. So if I'm doing wings on a plane and it's a fine surface and you get it aligned and you just sort of work your way around a wing, that's good. But I prefer to use my fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. Haptic feedback. It's a really important part of it's something we take for granted. Haptic feedback is one of the things that a lot of people working on humanoid robots, and have worked on artificial limbs and just mechanical arms in general. We vastly underestimate the things that we can do day to day with our hands. They're incredible biomechanical things. And it's one of the hardest bits for those kinds of people to replicate. So trying to get sensors that provide feedback so that your robot hand doesn't get something and then crush it or drop it. So something that can hold that I'm exerting very little pressure to something that can really squeeze quite hard to hold on to something with quite a bit of force. Pretty difficult to do. So, and you can't replicate that in a couple of bits of plastic, or a piece of metal. So let me just show the burner clamps. Here we go. So these are burner clamps. That's actually not the screen I wanted to show. That's the search. Stop that screen and show the actual one I wanted to show you.
Share window. There's two of them. Yeah, it's there's share this.
Oh my God, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Share screen or share window. Yeah, something like that.
Although if it would actually just hold still, because it keeps jumping all over the place. What the hell is it doing? Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Chrome tab because that's easier. Because I don't know what my computer is doing, but it's having a fit. These are burner clamps. So yeah, Modelcraft are the company that owned these. Originally, I think they were Swedish. I think the guy who invented them. Modelcraft is a company that now owns that brand. But these are the short ones. So there's two versions. They have a short carbon rod, or there's a long carbon rod, which is about 25 centimeters long. And it's basically the flex in this carbon rod which applies the pressure. So they're not cheap, but they are very good.
I don't think I've ever seen those, Alex. So thanks for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah, they are.
Modelcraft, small multi-clamp. Okay, I gotta look those up.
Yeah. I'll put a link to them. Oh wow, that's split across two. Okay. I didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but never mind. I need more practice on a StreamYard. I'm so used to Microsoft Teams with work
Yeah, yeah.
that StreamYard just does things slightly differently, and it's just kind of just different enough to not be like muscle memory. Oh yeah, the other thing I did with the people who have watched the first couple of streams on this will have seen there was a massive. The fit here was terrible. You can see now I've filled and sanded all of that and sprayed it white again. Also, so the kit itself does have like a representation of an intake mesh here. I just went ahead and put a couple of pieces of copper mesh just on top of those, just to make that a little bit better. You'll probably see that there. There we go. You won't see any of that, of course, but you guys will all know it's there now. Did the same with the wheel bay there that I did with the undercarriage itself. And you, again, won't see any of that because that goes on top. But again, just for completeness. In fact, let's put that on now. I need to refill my bottle. This is getting. I find that when this gets half full, I don't know whether you find this, John, it gets much more difficult because the little brush kind of goes to halfway. It doesn't really, unless you screw it down, go.
And it will only fill. It's Archimedes' principle, right? So it'll only fill fluids.
This is actually one area I might consider clamping.
So I always have a spare bottle of this. So when I get low, I'll fill it up.
So I literally have like liters of this. So.
Well, that's right, because you make your own. You sent me some. Thank you.
That's right. I've actually changed the format. So I did have those little round bottles, but I found the unless you seal them up, like screw them down tight,
they leak.
It's because it's quite a large. It's just a straight jar. It evaporates really easily. Yeah, and if you don't screw it down and then turn it around and stuff, it will leak. So I'm now using, of all things, nail varnish bottles.
Those are designed to be.
So they are. They're square.
Tight and safe. Yeah.
Well, and they're square. Rectangular nail varnish bottles. They hold exactly the same volume. They come with a lid with a brush, and it's all designed to handle, acetone and those kind of solvents. So I can't remember who it was that we were talking about stuff, and they talked about. I think it was Goobertown Hobbies actually talking about nail varnish. And I just thought, of course, it's just one of those eureka moments. You just think, why don't I just use empty nail varnish bottles, which of course you can buy. And the same supplier that does all of my bottles for all of my stuff is supplied those as well. So I just need to change the image on the website. I haven't taken photos because I haven't got new labels for them. And of course, the old ones are designed for the round bottles, so they're a bit too big. Next question: do you have any Tamiya 48 bow fighters in stock? If it's not on the website, then no. But I am due to. Well, let me have a look because it depends whether they're in stock. I am due to put an order in with my supplier. Let's see if they have any in stock.
My wife just got home, so she was checking in with me. Had a doctor's appointment today, so
Everything good?
everything's good. Yeah, ophthalmologist.
Excellent.
So, Alex, your eyesight hasn't gone yet, huh? That's amazing. I think, yeah, it was 2013 when I realized I needed a prescription.
Okay, that is. The Bowfighter 6 is available.
That's ICM?
No, Tamiya.
Oh, okay. I have the Tamiya Bowfighter. Did they just make the one, or is there a new one?
I think they just made the one.
Okay, it's the same one I have.
I've got two of them. I got them not long after they came out. There was a shop back where I used to live that was closing down. They were selling off all their kit, and all the Tamiya 148 stuff was ridiculously cheap. It was like £10 at the time, I think.
It's a good kit.
It is, yeah. Those 90s Tamiya aircraft kits are pretty nice. There's the God, what is it? Is it the Siran they did, and the Dyna? They did a couple of versions of that in 48 scale. Really nice kits.
Nice. Early 90s. That's when I got into Hasegawa. Those late 80s, early 90s Hasegawa kits. They were pretty darn good, man.
Oh, actually, that's so not really on the workbench. But one of the things I do when I'm at the shop, when I don't want to film something, right, I just want to build.
Right.
I've got two kits on the go there. One is the Corsair 2 from Hasegawa, the 148 scale kit. That's really nice. It's got the access panels on the side that you can. It's got all of the, like, you can pose those open. So it's got all the detail behind there. Because one of the things I didn't like too much about their 72nd scale stuff was they were pretty basic. The cockpits were pretty much, seat, stick, blank instrument panel, put a decal on it,
Oh. Gordon's wondering if you have any. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, 148 Bowfighter torpedo is, it's sort of so the Bowfighter, as I say, is fighter bomber. It's the Mark 6 that Tamiya do. Rather than, what is it, the TFX, I think, was the torpedo bomber. I'm sure somebody probably does a conversion kit for it.
So this is that's the Tamiya 148 Bowfighter.
Yeah.
This went together so well. It's a dream to put together. And,
And it's got like quite a lot of the interior in, hasn't it, for the rear station, and you can't see any of it. Yeah.
Correct. Spot on. You can't see any of it. There's all this detail you put in. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you think, oh, that looks really nice. And then you close it up and it's like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah. So, I got to finish this at some point. Hey, Chi, you can take the car tomorrow, no problem, okay? Yeah. We have two cars. One gets better gas mileage than the other.
So what do you consider better gas mileage in the US then, John?
Oh, 20 miles per gallon?
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So I got rid of the reason I didn't like keep my Mitsubishi GTO was because of the fuel consumption. So it did, if you were fairly kind to it, about 25 to 30 to the gallon.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's terrible.
Dude, that's...
So, okay, I had a 2-liter diesel Audi TT, right, the Ultra. That would get like 50 plus miles to the gallon. And I did not drive that carefully. You know, it's an amazing car. And it just had all the torque in the world.
We pay, I think the conversion is we pay 80 pence per liter here.
Okay. You're no longer allowed on the stream.
And we complain when it gets that high.
Yeah, ours is around here. I paid 145.6 a couple of days ago.
Pound.
Which is what? It's coming up to $2, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys pay like $8 a gallon. Yeah.
So this kit, John, has one of the worst instruction areas that I've ever seen. So it tells you to put these two. So you have these two halves of the. In fact, I can't even show that with that, can I? It's going to have to be the general webcam, I think. You need that panoramic view. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on.
So these are the wings.
Yes.
In fact, let's remove that one for a bit. Makes it bigger, doesn't it? So let's shift my camera out of the way. So these are the wings. Or this is the lower part of the wings. And on the instructions, it looks like this is where you should put. It's got this cutout shape, right?
Yeah.
For you to put this on. Right. And anybody who watched the stream, the last stream I did of this, I couldn't get this to fit. There's just no positive fit. And I was like, what is wrong? What have I done wrong? It's like, does it go here? It's like, how does it work? But it's not. It's because it's this way, where you have this completely different shape, which isn't indicated on the instructions at all. That's where it goes. And then actually, I mean, the fit is still pretty rough. But you can actually make it go. And I'm just like, why on earth? Like, there is no indication at all of these pieces, which it would be so easy just to like a couple of lines just to show that this is the side. It's like, oh, right, yeah, that makes sense. But no, I struggled with it until I eventually like kind of got it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so dumb, you know. But it is, there we go. That's how it goes. You can tell when you've got it because it just sort of clicks.
Cool.
But yeah, you are supposed to glue these two with this sort of butt join, then put this on, and then flip all of that over, and then do the same with this butt joined piece.
Ugh.
It's just horrible. I don't know who designed the kit. Thought this was a good idea, but it wasn't.
Was it designed in the 70s?
It's not that old.
Oh, really?
I think it was. I'm gonna have to look it up now. I think it was like 91 or something.
Oh, okay. You know.
But obviously 91 AMT. Sorry, I'm doing it a minor disservice, or service perhaps. 1995. So about the same time that Tamiya Beaufort was being made.
Oh my gosh.
When you put it like that, it's like, oh my God. Question. I think it would be cool if a company did a classic sci-fi spaceship collection. Blake 7 Liberator, UFO SID, the ship from Darkstar, etc. It would, but it would never happen, Steve. And I think actually it comes down to what we were talking about on Airfix and Chill.
Licensing.
Yeah, licensing. Because there you're just looking at how could we make the most expensive set of models possible? You know, by paying license fees to a whole bunch of different companies all at once. And, you know, you wouldn't get the return on investment. That's the kind of main cog with it. I just wish there was more actual positive fit on this.
Yeah.
Because from this butt join here, this thing goes on here, which, as I suspected, isn't quite the right shape. Yeah, it is huge, though. You did email us on that. Thank you, John. I read that earlier, actually. So if you guys actually want to get in touch at all, the best way, if you're not a channel member and on my Discord, is through the shop email. It's also the channel email. I don't put it on live streams and stuff just to stop bots, basically.
Right.
Because if you go through the channel email, there's a little button you have to press, which kind of screens that out. I keep procrastinating. I'm going to have to bite the bullet and actually trying to put these things together at some point, aren't I? Oh, I did do the winglets as well. The winglets that are the size of a 1/72nd scale modern jet's wings. So I did do them with the straight pieces, because obviously when it rests at low speed, they move. So I think what I'm going to do with this is actually glue these together as it says, and then put a strip of plasticard along this spine to actually give some sort of structure to that, which I should be able to do all the way up until this point and not get any interference here, in theory. There was, Richard, a company at Scale Model World that did some sci-fi stuff. There were a couple, actually. There was one that did 3D printed ones, and there was also one that was doing Jerry Anderson stuff. I think
cool.
Specifically, they were doing like the Angel Interceptor and things, but they were limited run. I think they were only going like 150 or something, and they were pretty pricey. Phil said the butt joins were a good idea. The designer could go home early. Yeah. If I saw him going home early, I'd lynch him.
Get back here.
So I'm going to go for using good old Revell contactor rather than extra thin for this join, I think.
That is not easy to get here in the States.
Really?
Yep. Yep. Whereas we can get Mr. Surfacer kind of no problem when it's in stock, but yeah.
So on that very note, Nunu, the Plastic Alchemist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you haven't checked his channel out, please do. He actually, I sent him a sample because I know he uses Mr. Surfacer or Mr. Hobby leveling thinner a lot, and he swears by the stuff. So I thought he would be an ideal person to do an independent test on my new thinners. And apparently he thinks they work perfectly. So. Nice. I wanted to kind of get that feedback before pushing on, in case I needed to tweak the formulation a bit, but I don't. So the next week or so, I should have I'll probably be calling them Spectrum thinners. So there we go, Steve. A nice tribute there to Jerry Anderson and Captain Scarlet. But basically, because it's broad spectrum, you can use them on a lot of things, as you can with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner. And then there should be no issues with getting leveling thinner in the UK again. So I'll be selling it. Sorry, John.
I'd honk that horn as loud as you could.
Yeah. Once I've got all of the bottles ready, all the labels checked out and stuff, all the MSDSs prepared, all that stuff, then I will be definitely. So that's probably one of the things that I will take to Telford, the Scale Model World in the UK in November. I'm not going to be taking loads of kits and everything, but I will probably be taking that.
Sure. Give some samples to people.
Yeah, exactly. The first one's free, The old drug dealer's philosophy.
Oh, sure. Get you hooked.
Yeah. So I'll be selling it in 500 ml bottles for a little bit less than the 400 ml bottles of Mr. Hobby.
Cool.
So it'll be a little bit cheaper, and it'll be pretty much always available. And actually, if it goes really well, I might be able to reduce the price a little bit, depending on my chemical suppliers. Not wanting to buy, hundreds of litres of organic solvents on something which is quite proven.
You'll turn into like Breaking Bad or something.
It's one of the reasons, I think I've mentioned this on stream before, that I have the no under 16s in the shop without parental supervision, because I have a Kosh cupboard with all my solvents in, which of course, if you're an adult, you can make an informed choice about. I've got a warning on the door about dangerous substances on site kind of thing, but a kid can't. So then there's all the insurance implications that brings with it. Plus, of course, I have knives and all that kind of stuff, which you can't sell to minors in the UK. All kinds of laws and stuff, as you might expect. Can't buy a gun from Walmart here, In fact, you can't buy a small bladed knife unless you've got proof of ID and you're over 18 here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow.
That's a very good question. What does the leveling thinner do? So leveling thinner, basically, it extends the drying time. Well, there's a couple of things it does. And actually, I'm doing a video on thinners, which will go along with the release of the product, which kind of will explain some of this, but also talk about thinners more in general. And the follow-up question, do you use it in place of water? It depends, right? So leveling thinner, it's pure organic solvent. So there's no water in leveling thinner at all. So you can use it without any problem with Mr. Hobby paints, with Tamiya acrylic paints. Those will dilute in that with no problem. You can use it in lacquer paints. You can use it with enamel paints even.
Yes. And
you can use it with standard aqueous acrylics sometimes. So I've thinned ICM paints with the thinner without any issue. You tend to have to use a higher proportion of thinner to paint, something like 75-25. If you do less than that, it tends to end up in a goopy mess. And some aqueous acrylic paints will just turn into a gloopy mess, whatever. It really depends on the formulation because there are so many variables, as I did in my acrylics video. There's so many things you can put in there, you can't cover all the bases. George, yes, I am doing a stand at Telford. It'll just be a little single table, and it will mainly be for visibility. So to promote the website, to promote the YouTube channel, so to meet people, and just to showcase a few particular bespoke products, like the sprue goo and the thinners, to a lesser extent the glue, those kinds of things. I'm not going to be taking a huge bunch of kits because as an independent retailer with a little shop, the profit margin on kits just doesn't allow you to compete with the big boys at shows like that. Because anybody going to Telford, if they're looking to buy stuff, they're looking for a bargain, right?
Yeah.
I sell all my kits comparable to internet prices, usually 10% below RRP. So if you buy an Airfix kit from me, it'll be the same price as you get it as an Airfix Club member, but you don't have to pay a £35 yearly fee, which is generally what you can get them on the internet, right? So you have to be able to compete with the internet to survive, which of course means you're getting 10% less profit.
And you got to pay for your bench, your stand, your stall.
Yeah, you got to pay for all of that. So I'm just looking at it as a marketing activity.
Cool.
Essentially, it's advertising and marketing. If I can actually, break even for it, would be great. If I can sell some of the thinners and stuff, great. But yeah, I can't take kits there. The only reason that I could sell that stuff at Telford really is because I make it, so I have a higher margin, obviously because I'm manufacturing it, rather than a kit, which you are, well, you're making a tight margin for a start, and then any discount you get comes directly off that profit margin. I don't pay Airfix less because I sell my product at a discount. It comes purely off my cut. So Airfix make the same whether they sell it, to me, and I sell it at cost, or sell it at twice the price. Richard, when do I have? I actually have it in stock now. I just haven't updated the website, principally because I made a whole bunch, and then some people actually had asked for it in the shop. So I was selling it in the shop, and I wanted to make sure that they got theirs before I then updated the website. And with everything, I kind of got a bit distracted. So I think I've got about 3 of each in stock at the moment, 3 or 4 of each. The thin, the standard, and the thick. At the moment it's green. I am making, so I've got some in production at the moment, which is like sort of a sandy color as well.
Okay.
Wow. Julie says on a radio advert for lumberjack axe throwing, it says minimum age 10. Not sure I trust a 10-year-old with a bladed weapon. I definitely would not trust a 10-year-old with a bladed weapon. Not an axe. God, especially a throwing axe.
It would be nice to have sprue glue that's in a color that's different than gray or white or black,
Yeah.
Because when you're sanding it down, you'll know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I prefer using a different color than the plastic I'm going for. I know some people want the same so that it blends in, but I generally prime my models anyway. So one of the things a primer does is even out the colors. But like you say, once you're sanding it, then you know whether you're sanding the thinner or something. You've just got through it completely, and you're now back into the model. Benny, I'm going to Telford. I'll be visiting your stand looking for a mega bargain.
Right on.
Yes, I'll have special Telford pricing, which will have 50% added on everything, so I can do 50% off. Well, actually, it would be 33% off, wouldn't it, to get back to normal price? Okay, I need a lighter because that is completely blocked. Yep. See, I can get this stuff in spades, John. If you if you want to start up a small distribution business in the US, I can get you a whole bunch of that.
Anytime I've ever sort of tried getting that stuff, it's my local shop, internet, whatever. Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to get a lighter and see if I can find some plastic card.
Cool. So I'm trying to glue these things together. There's 4 pieces. So for each side, there's 4 pieces. And they all dance with each other at the same time. And one of them just didn't work. And so, you're putting extra thin on and it melts plastic. And then when you realize, okay, this is just not working, I got to take this apart. You've got all this extra thin melted plastic that you need to, because if you try to put it back together, you've got all these nooks and crannies that the extra thin created in the plastic, and so you gotta clean all that up. And so that's what I'm doing here. Oh my god, looks like a sea sponge. So I can start over again trying to glue it in place.
Well, mission partially successful. I've got a lighter.
Nice. I think both of our Discord notifications are going off at the same time.
I think they are, yeah. I always forget to mute it. The worst is, so I've been doing a bunch of editing over the past couple of days. I did 3 videos in 2 days, which I think is a record.
Nice.
And the worst is when you're actually recording the audio and your Discord notifications going off when you've got into a stride. It's just, oh, for God's sake. I thought I'd muted that.
So one of the nice things about my microphone is when my mic is active, no other sound comes off. So I could be watching the World Cup, and I plug my mic in and it automatically just Rochambeaus everything else.
Oh, wow.
You don't hear anything. Yeah.
Right. This is just the vaguest fit. Okay. Plastic card. Where am I going to find plastic card?
I do not have any plastic card. Where do you get yours? In your shop?
No, it's actually one of the things I've been looking for a supplier of, and it's actually relatively difficult to find them. And it used to be ubiquitous, right? I don't know whether it's just a decline of scratch building or what. But all of mine is either old or I've bought from Amazon.
All right.
But the stuff from Amazon is pretty heavy gauge. Which actually wouldn't be too bad of a thing right now.
Matt from Model Minutes dropped in. If you haven't seen that.
Oh, hey, Matt.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Go fuss with that. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to clean up the extra thin mess so I can. I'll mess with this tomorrow.
Okay. Plastic card. Found them.
You got it?
I had to go back upstairs to where I was before. Okay.
Steve's wondering if you found a alternative to pledge.
Potentially. I've said this on a few streams. I still need to do a little bit more testing, and I've potentially with getting the chemicals from a couple of companies, I potentially could actually get hold of the main sort of piece that makes pledge special, if you like. There's one chemical in it which is used in a few other things, which is the stuff I've been trying. But obviously, if I can get hold of the main thing,
right,
I could probably come up with something myself, which is, let's say, has the properties that you like of pledge, but not necessarily those you don't. Because obviously, pledge wasn't designed as a decal solution and varnish, even though we use it as such. Oh, I have a small visitor.
Oh, is Pablo there?
No, this weird little green fly.
Oh.
It's quite pretty. Yeah, we get this.
Does Pablo come to the shop with you?
Sometimes.
If you feel like dealing with him.
Yeah, it is kind of that.
Looking for a mate.
Look at that weird little jeweled fly.
Is that like a mayfly or?
Is that what it is?
Smacking itself in the head.
Yeah. If anybody can identify the unknown 1-to-1 scale insect there. Not very big. It's like a centimeter long. Okay. Okay, that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's gigantic. I mean, for 1/72nd, it's just crazy.
Oh, it's just such a huge thing. Okay, you need to go now, fly, because I need that piece unless you want to be sealed in there forever. Okay. Now. This is going to be the interesting piece. Can we get this to work? Okay. I'm not 100% convinced.
See, like, we cannot get Dettol over here at all. There is no Dettol, and there's
Which is
no alternative at all.
But you guys can get simple green, right?
We can. I've tried it. It does not work as well as what Dettol seems to work for you guys. So
the other one, let me put this down here because I have a bottle of it right here. In fact, I have 2 bottles of it. Is this stuff?
was it like brake fluid or something?
No, this is LA's Totally Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
This will strip models, and it's a US product, so you should be able to get that.
LA Totally Awesome. All right, let me look it up.
Yeah, it's actually what I used. Actually, on one of my most successful videos to date, which is the 10 modeling mistakes to avoid, and I used a Caro, which is an East European make, long defunct, Focke-Wulf 187 kit to demonstrate sort of some of the things that you can make mistakes on. Mistakes being, unintended things, rather than, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's not a mistake." It's like, look, it's a mistake if you're not intending to do that. You might intend to do it, then it's not a mistake. The point of the video is how to avoid some of those things as mistakes. But after doing that video, I then said, so how can we remedy some of those? And I stripped the model using that and then rebuilt it. So I thought I'm going to rebuild exactly the same model. And that's what I stripped it with.
All right, I can get a gallon of it for $3.75.
A gallon.
Yep. Yep. At Dollar General, a gallon. So the most expensive it is $3 a liter.
Oh my God. I think I spent like £17 for 2 bottles. Something like that. Because you can't just buy it here. It has to be imported.
I just realized I have no idea where my phone is.
Look at that. Look how vague that fit is.
Oh my God. Like it's flapping its wings.
Right? Oh my God. This does not fit at all. How does that work? Oh, well, clearly it doesn't. Okay, fine. I apologize to everybody for not really showing this, but I can barely see what I'm doing myself. Never mind about putting it on camera. Okay. That was a positive click. But so bad. Wow. Okay. I think I need another piece of that big plastic card. So for the record, guys, you should not have to add great big plastic card wedges to your models. To make them work. Like I'm having to do here. I mean, this is like industrial modeling. Oh, absolutely, Steve. Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Left my phone in the car. Folks, please don't forget to hit like on Alex's stream, so because it does help his algorithm. Yep.
It absolutely does. So I've now resorted to putting big plastic card reinforcing tabs.
Oh my gosh.
Also, okay, so that is kind of where it should be right now on the model. If I put this over the other side, and actually I'll put it on the other camera. This is the fit at the other end.
Oh my gosh. It's like the Grand Canyon, man.
Well, it's also, this isn't flush. It's
yeah, I have to agree, Steve.
I think Nigel gave up. He tried to do this and gave up on this kit.
Steve, I'm not sure. Because I've got too many kits that I've got to complete. And then I have a few on my bench, and then I have a few others that are still sort of untouched. So it's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm kind of set for right now. I think in the future I might be doing a helicopter. I have never done a helicopter.
That's a good place to be, John. Never doing a helicopter. I would say if you're going to do a helicopter, the Sea King 148 scale airfix Sea King is a pretty good, pretty good place to go.
Bird's nest and all. Yeah, I got to put a bird's nest in it, right?
You got to put a chicken coop in it. Yeah?
That's funny.
The best thing about that is that you can do it with the tail and the rotor deployed. Folded, so that it doesn't take up much room.
Yeah, helos, they seem to be like ships. You know, the footprint is massive.
That's one of the things I'm actually considering doing this year. Is I haven't done a ship model. Said ship with a P, everybody, not anything else. I haven't done a ship model for many years, and I don't mean the Shannon class lifeboat or the Mary Rose, which I haven't done the Shannon yet because I don't have any yet. Because airfix. But I will do one, and I have done the Mary Rose, but that doesn't really count as a 1/400 scale Carrack.
I have the 1/350th USS Indianapolis.
Wow.
With the PE, and I've had it for a year and a half, and I'm waiting for some inspiration to start it, Alex. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can provide you with that. See, I was thinking maybe like a 1/700 scale Bismarck or Scharnhorst. Nice now, you know, there.
Yeah, I've thrown that out there a few times. Nobody's bitten, so it's in my closet back here. So It'll get done at some point.
How about one of the helicopters from MASH? That's
Oh yeah.
Bell 47.
The theme song immediately went into my head, man.
Oh yeah, Suicide is Painless. Yeah. You'll appreciate this, John, from our conversation earlier in the week. So we watch a YouTube channel called Zeducation,
Mm-hmm.
who kind of does like, memes and try not to laugh and stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is about kind of state of the US at the moment, obviously. And one of the starting ones today was this some young woman talking about how petrol pumps are sexist.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're too big, they hurt her small hands. It's like, oh my god, is this what we've devolved to? It's just with you mentioning the MASH theme too, and of course it's Suicide is Painless.
Yeah.
Because I said to Maria, I said we should just kill ourselves now. It's never going to get better. Let's just make a pact. Just if this is at the level that we've devolved to as a society,
Well, speaking for the States, you have people that sit around and dream up ways in which other people might be offended.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Okay.
Oh, so Richard is suggesting you do one of the wooden ships with the fabric sails. That should be easy, right? With all the rigging and stuff.
Yeah, that's I think that's more Craig's territory, right? So
Yeah.
Craig's taken that one for me. He's jumped in front of that bullet for me.
I might be tempted at some point to do. There's a cross section model of the Victory, the HMS Victory.
Yeah.
And, I think we've all seen it. That looks pretty darn cool. Because you don't have to do the whole thing. You're just doing a slice of it, right?
I don't have the room to actually manipulate this.
So that's why I haven't started that Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Or the 172nd Vulcan from Airfix.
Yeah, but the difference is that kit fits together. I mean, to be honest, even the 1980s Airfix Vulcan fits together better than this. I mean, you might need a lot of filler with that kit, but it does fit.
Take care, Julian. Thanks for coming in as always.
Cheers, Julian. Good night. I mean, this is the state. I can't even show you the terrible scene. This is the state of this after attempting to glue it.
Oh my gosh.
Things you really do have to have some sort of join here before you try and fix it to the other piece. And clamps would certainly not help you here. So how long is that model then, John?
I'm sorry?
How long is the Indy?
Hold on one second. I got it here in the pocket. Oh, man. So, it's not. Hold on one second. Let me. So not too bad. One side to the other. It's Let me see if I can disconnect the camera. I'll show you. I've got it mounted. I can. Because this does fit. Whoops. There. So it fits between, the uprights on my things there. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's a bit like saying this kit isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's all untouched. It's comes with this nice this little insert here. Yeah, I've got the this is the railing set.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. All right. And then I think this has 5 different PE sheets. This is all the everything else. Yeah. So you can do it waterline or full hull.
So are you a waterline or full hull person?
I would do it full hull. Yeah.
A true ship modeler then?
I want to see it all. Yeah. So. Actually, there's probably more PE than there is plastic, man. Yeah. So, I'll do this at some point.
So that is the fit.
Oh, it's terrible. There's got to be like a Jethro routine about that, where he builds the wall.
Yeah. God. The thing is, I don't want to let this completely dry, because if it's off, which I expect it will be for putting the next piece on, I don't want to have to then fight. Okay.
I'm looking for the model number. Yeah, all right.
Okay. I feel this is not gonna do it. It's gonna have to be this.
Yeah, Gary, you're right. He tells the story where he's on the Indianapolis. That's why he hates sharks.
Oh, in Jaws.
Yep.
Yeah. Reference acknowledged. Yeah. That's when you know you're in good company, when everybody gets the same film references. Oh, what's happening?
I don't believe it. England is winning 2-1. It's in stoppage time. I don't believe it.
Oh, we still have the chance to lose. Don't worry. We've managed to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory many times before.
That's incredible. Yeah, Mark. So, who scored? Who scored the second goal? Was it Saka? Oh my gosh!
Was it one of the Dutch team that we paid off?
Yeah.
That is the best bit I've got.
Oh,
I think I might need a little filler.
so, what will you use for like putty? Sprue glue or
Yeah. I'll use sprue glue.
okay. Watkins. Oh man, Ollie Watkins. Well, good for them. Scotland were out after the first game.
Scotland were out before they came.
Yeah, it's
let's be real about this.
yeah. I mean, you know, my folks are from Arbroath, so I'm like, oh my God, Scotland's in it.
It's like, yeah, but are they there?
No.
Oh my God, this is. I can see why Nigel got a little frustrated.
Chucked it in the bin and said, okay.
Yeah, this is. It is testing. I'll give you that. It's as an old teacher of mine would have said, it's character developing.
It's how we grow as modelers, for sure.
Yeah. Like with muscles, the way you get muscles to grow is by constantly tearing them, and
Yep.
then they regrow and grow stronger, and you tear them again. It's a long, painful process. This just won't stick together.
England did it. They're through to the final.
Joking.
Not joking, man.
Wow.
Holland must have just parked the bench. The bus, I'm sorry. Damn, that one beer. Problem is, I'm dieting too, so.
Okay, chaps, we kind of have a result. Look at the gap at the back there. Oh my God. That is bad.
Oh, Ed Sheeran is there. Mr. Ipswich Town, right? All right, John. I'm glad to see that. John Christmas says they showed up today and outplayed Holland. So good.
You see, but is that a good thing? Because we're not going to win. So it's just extending the pain for a longer time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Spain is going to Spain's going to wipe them out.
I think the word you're searching for is humiliate, right?
Yes. Seismically shame.
The problem, I think, well, no, it's not the problem. One of the many problems with this, putting this together, is because it's such a big area and none of it really fits, and you kind of got to work on each piece, is whilst you're working on one piece, you know, you're not holding another piece. You know, a smaller kit, you can kind of get to grips with more of it at once, whereas this can't really do that. And it's flexing in 2 axes.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have it kind of together. I'm going to take that as a win, like England. You know, it doesn't matter how they got there.
Yep.
Look at this.
Very nice.
That is the gap. I'll just put my finger here to scale, just to give you an idea of how far away from fitting that is.
Gosh.
That is a good couple of millimeters on both sides. It's flush at the top though. But there we go. There's the grand view.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, someone asked earlier, where are you going to put that thing?
Oh, it's going to go in the shop. It'll go in the window of the shop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. You see the thing. So I've glued this together now, okay, and it kind of fits where it's supposed to. I don't know whether this shows up on camera, but let's see if I can show you.
Yeah, you could pirouette through those gaps.
Well, it's not so much that, it's, can you see the movement here?
Oh, man.
That's, there we go. You can.
So it's not like you can just fill it in. It's like, okay.
Hang on, okay. Because of the way it's done, you can't really glue underneath here while it's doing that. So I've got to figure out a way to do that now, to sort of sandwich that together. That'll be fun. But that is progress, I think.
Progress is good.
Let's see if the winglets fit. I mean, they kind of do. I can move this around. Actually, the winglet fit is better than the main wing.
So the sprue glue will give you better stability for sure. So if you try some of this liquid putty, it won't. It'll fill the gap, but there'll be no strength whatsoever.
Graham, absolutely not. So I have no problem selling anything to a customer who is aware of what they're buying. So if a customer comes in and says, I want a Revell 132nd Corsair, first tooled in 1972. If they know that and they understand what a horrible kit it is, they know what they're asking for, absolutely, yeah, I can get that for you. What I won't do is sell that kit to somebody who, I won't just put it on the shelf in its nice new shiny box, because I would hate for somebody to buy that as their first, second, third kit into modeling and think, I'm never buying from that guy again because he sells this crap.
Right.
So would I recommend this kit to anybody? No, absolutely not. I mean, if you want a kit, a 1/72nd scale kit of the Valkyrie, it's kind of the only kit in town, right? But do you really need a 1/72nd scale kit of the Valkyrie? Would a 1/144 scale kit do? In which case, is it Great Wall Hobby?
I've never built one of their stuff. Or Meng. Or Hong Kong.
Okay, here's a challenge for you then, John. This should be your next build.
What's that?
Following on from, this tonight, I'll share. There's a 1/48 scale Valkyrie.
Oh yeah, no thanks, man. Oh come on. It's got to be a meter, right? Just in.
I reckon it must be over a meter because this thing is pushing it.
So a meter from nose to tail, not even wingspan. That's gotta be just massive.
I mean, this thing is well over half a meter. Well over.
So I've seen the surviving XB-70. It's at the Museum of the United States Air Force in Ohio. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, they have really good pictures on the website. They took a lot of that for the cockpit.
Good.
I mean, it must be an amazing thing to see in real life. Ooh. Thankfully, I had the top on that. Oh, God.
Graham, I loved Open All Hours. I would watch it. I'd watch it with my mom in the 70s, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, I mean, he got knighted, man.
He was so young in that, though.
Yeah.
There was a time he seemed to be in everything as well.
He was Danger Mouse. He was in only Fools and Horses. Fools and Horses, and in that. And
there was that program set in the West Country.
Oh yeah, where he's a detective. Yeah, Frost.
No. Yeah, there's frost, but there was. Oh God, what was it called? I don't know. He used to say perfect all the time rather than perfect. It was like in the West Country, Cider with Rosie or something. That's a play, isn't it? That's,
Interesting.
no. I remember. I think my parents watched it.
He was always trying to get it on with the milk gal, the gal that had the milk float, and she'd come around, and especially when Arkwright would go away, and he's like, "Oh yeah," she'd always like sort of not stand him up, but
Darling Buds of May. Thank
put him
you.
in his place. Darling Buds of May. Oh my gosh.
So Robert says, did you know the kit you are building was an ill-fitting kit? What and who makes the kit, please? So yes, I did know what I was letting myself in for, but I kind of always wanted to build the Valkyrie, and this is a reasonably affordable version. If you want to do the Great, I think it's the Great Wall, obvious. Let's just check. Is it Great Wall? Oh, Armory do one. Maybe it's the Armory kit. Yeah, it could be the Armory kit. Let's see, 1144 scale. Wolfpack do one. Armory do one. Could be the Armory kit then. That's like almost £70, I think. You know, whereas this kit you can pick up for like around 40. Maybe a little bit less depending on where you are and where you buy it from. Oh, it still doesn't bloody fit. Good God. Okay, this is where you just get into jamming a paintbrush loaded with Tamiya Thin into vaguely the right area.
Danger Mouse, dude.
Danger Mouse was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think I've brought it up before on other streams. Does anybody remember Oscar's Orchestra with Dudley?
No.
Okay, man. That's how I kept my my firstborn entertained in the TV. BBC America, Oscar's Orchestra. Yeah, Dudley Moore. Dudley Moore was the yeah. Nobody knows about it. It's crazy.
Was it a US show?
Mm.
Yeah, because Dudley Moore went over to the States, didn't he? Kind of like.
It's completely British. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up.
Really?
All right. 1995 British. It's Oscar's Orchestra. Animated series, 95, 96.
You see, 95, 96, I just finished my PhD. I was just starting work. I had money. I was still young, you know.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, yeah, that's why I missed it. Now, if you were talking about clubs, then I'd probably be able to, you know. No, I was over in the kitchen, you know, U2's club in Dublin. That's what I was doing in 1995.
Mm.
Never saw U2 in there, though. Yes, there was a certain Catherine Zeta-Jones in that. I may have noticed that.
She's very lovely. Yeah. All right. asking?
Terry Scott. I remember Terry Scott. Question is, how long do I keep pressing on this before it might actually be set?
20 minutes.
Yeah, probably. The other question is, how much paint is this going to take to actually cover?
Oh my gosh. Are you going to prime it?
I'll prime it, but I'll rattle can prime it.
That is very smart.
And the only reason I'm going to prime it is because it will be variously colored with various different bits of sprue gun and stuff. And I want to just, it'll be for checking the surface because I'll probably use Outlaw to actually paint it.
Very good.
Because that will give me the coverage and color density. But given how much it's going to have to be sanded, I want to make sure that the surface looks okay under paint before I break those out.
Yeah, there's a balance there. So the more primer you put on, the more you have to sand off if there's a mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it clogs up your sander.
How much up in the world like? Well, the good thing is, being Southeast Asia scheme, it's like it's a 4-color camo, I think. Or is it 3-color? It's 2 tones of green, isn't it? It's a lighter green, a really dark green, and then the sand. Does it also take the black from the underside? I can't remember, but you know, that reduces the amount of each individual paint that I have to put on. The black I will rattle can. Just in an automotive black underneath, so that will take out half of it. So yeah, tactical choices. If I was doing this in the actual XB70 scheme, I would probably use rattle can white overall. You know, and then just come in with the airbrush for the anti-glare panels and that kind of stuff.
So the Valkyrie, that must have been somehow related to the Concorde. Was it?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh. Because there's at least some aesthetic.
I think it's just the challenges of making a supersonic aircraft of that kind of size. You know, you come up with similar solutions, thing,
right?
Kind of convergent evolution. Because this thing was made of stainless steel, which I didn't realize until I was reading up about it.
Holy smokes!
But because they didn't have enough titanium, and titanium would have been way too expensive, so they used stainless steel. Because stainless steel is too heavy, they actually invented a new way of making it in honeycombed sandwiches to make it lighter and still structurally strong. And then they used titanium on like some of the facing edges and air intakes and stuff. So they reduced the amount of titanium they used, and then came up with this honeycomb stainless steel panels for the structural strength and to reduce the weight, so the thing wouldn't melt at Mach 3.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the Blackbird did that, right? Didn't it? The metal gets so hot.
It expanded. It had all those ridges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it ran at normal speeds, it would just totally leak.
Yeah. Yeah. So it leaked on the runway. Yeah. Which is mad.
It is.
These kind of design solutions that engineers come up with. Just. So, Robert, you say it's impossible to be a bomber, but you say, where does the bomb load go? It goes in this. see this piece here. It's a cunning. See these rails? So this is a sliding bomb bay door, and the bombs would be contained within. And of course, remember this is designed as a nuclear strike aircraft, so you didn't have to have too many bombs in there to be effective. You know, you've got like 4 1-megaton weapons. That's 4 cities gone. You know. Of course, the development of better surface-to-air missiles signed the death knell for this, along with better intercontinental ballistic missiles and SLBMs. I think Kennedy killed it in the end, didn't he? The Valkyrie.
He might have done.
Killed it as a bomber, or was it Carter that killed? I can't remember.
Oh, Carter.
Yeah, we don't mention the one-termers. Hey, I bet you'd welcome Carter now.
Yes.
I just remember. I think it was said to Maria. It's just like when, you know, the world kind of laughed at America when George W. Bush was in presidency. You know, it's just like, you know, he's so stupid, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Yep.
Now he looks like an absolute statesman compared to what the current crop is. Not that we're, of course, any better.
It's all relative.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, and people on the stream may not know this. So we obviously had a general election last week, and Labour won in the largest landslide victory for like a couple of hundred years, with less votes for them than when they lost at the prior general election.
So similar thing happened in France, right? So
that it just blows my mind, though, that, you know, we can have such a huge landslide victory, but actually less people voted for that party than voted for them, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, and they lost. It was just because people were so turned off politics. Like about 40% of the people who voted Tory last time didn't bother voting at all.
right.
It's just like, that's just mad. So we obviously have a landslide majority minority party, a party that, you know, most people didn't vote for.
Yeah.
Which is
Same with France. Yeah.
just shows what a crazy political system we've ended up with.
Same with us currently.
Yeah.
Yep.
Carter killed the B one, apparently. So all of the presidents killed some sort of military program. It's just which ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from Reagan, who started most of them, I think, didn't he? Restarted. You know, you got Star Wars and everything.
Ronnie Reagan. That's what we called him.
Ronnie Reagan.
Reagan. Yeah. The one thing he did was, you know, he told Iran, if I'm elected president and they're not released immediately, I will turn you into a gigantic sheet of glass. And he got elected, and they released our hostages immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually quite funny, Reagan. He's quite a good speaker. I don't know if you've seen like dinner speeches he
Great
gives.
communicator. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it comes from him being an actor, right? He's got good people skills and stuff, but he was scary, man. Growing up in the 80s with Thatcher and him.
Yeah, Thatcher and Reagan. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. It just seemed like the duo for the apocalypse. I mean, I remember being like, 1984, 1985, waking up like in a cold sweat.
Yeah.
Dreaming about like the 4-minute warning.
Yep.
You know, it's like a real thing.
Me too.
Hey, you got
When I was
20
a little kid, I was worried about the, because I was stupid, right? A little kid. I was worried about the Loch Ness Monster.
minutes.
Right? I thought the Loch Ness Monster was going to swim over and get me, right? And I'm like 6 or 7.
I mean, that's a hell of a swim.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that, but then the late 70s and 80s came around, and I was worried about and drop off.
Yeah.
I was worried about nuclear war. So hey, so Craig Jukes, you're back. What are you doing again for the Wendy Hickson build? Let me know, either in chat or privately or whatever, because there's a Wendy Hickson build going on for it lasts
Yeah.
the year. Yeah.
I didn't know Wendy. I only kind of, a bit like Senior, really. I only became aware of when things kind of started coming up on YouTube, the tributes and things.
She was exceptionally generous. She
Yeah.
would be constantly sending people stuff, buying people stuff, whatever. So,
So if the X70 entered service, would it be in gunship grey? Well, that was one of the questions for the what if on the channel was, what scheme should I do it in? Well, what nation scheme should I do it in was first, and it was decided the US should be the one, and then what scheme. So it really depends when it entered service and for how long, because when it originally entered service, a lot of bombers were being painted white, anti-flash white. But then obviously when they converted, the roles changed, they converted to more low-level penetrators. It was Southeast Asia scheme for a lot of them. Think of the F-111. And then everything started to go like the B-1. The B-1 had an experimental desert scheme, which was pretty cool, which I think came second in the voting. And although the voting will still be open until I actually get to spraying this, which could be a while given the amount of filling. And then, of course, the last one would be, obviously, if like the B1, it had entered more general service in the sort of 80s, 90s, yeah, it would probably been ended up in overall gunship grey.
so Alex, what I'm using here is Mr. Hobby. Oh, I gotta put the
Is that Mr. Hobby dissolved putty?
Yes.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
That's what I use.
It smells really bad.
And it cooks off really quick. So that's how hot it is. You know it's hot when it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, if you leave the top open on it for too long, that stuff will set in there. It's fairly easy to reactivate, but yeah, it's good stuff.
For tiny, tiny little gaps, like this is the smallest little gap. You couldn't put a piece of paper through this. That's where it's good. So for what you're doing, there's no way you couldn't use it. It would just continually just.
It does shrink quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually formulated a spruger. Spruger obviously does the same thing. It will shrink because obviously it has solvent. Solvent evaporates. You have some styrene left. But I've actually got one with it's basically a mix of calcium carbonate and talc mixed in with the styrene, which gives it a bit more structural stability, stops it shrinking so much. So, and yeah, it's not chalky like a standard squadron filler is basically the same thing, but it has toluene and a few other things. So what you're left with once you've finished is basically calcium carbonate and talc and a few other things kind of holding it together, which is why they're so chalky when you sand them. And of course, they have very different absorbency characteristics than styrene. Well, that's kind of glued to that now, which is good. Oh wow! I didn't realise it is almost 10:30. How time has run away when you are fighting a model.
I think people enjoyed the chat and when watching us build models, right? For a change.
I think it was the watching me
Yes.
struggling with aim. That's what it was. They're like watching torture, like you can't tear your eyes away from a train wreck, right? Oh, so I would say, Nick, that Slough deserves nuking before Sheffield, and I think Hull probably comes before that. So there are several places in the UK which a small tactical yield nuke could probably improve. Like a cruise missile size warhead, 70 kilotons, something like that. So Mark says, about 85, 86, I had a nightmare about a B-52 flying up Newell Road in my hometown of Otley, which is about 400 meters from my home, about to drop a nuke on our Menwith Hill. That's a very oddly specific dream, Mark. I love Dr. Strangelove. Or how I came to love the bomb.
Yes.
Peter Sellers. Now there was a tortured genius.
My mother loved Peter Sellers. So my mother would take me to see anything that Peter Sellers was in. So, especially the last movie. So it was Fiendish Plot of Dr. Fu Manchu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So at the end of that, he's Peter Sellers impersonating a Chinaman, impersonating Elvis. Oh my God. So if you get on YouTube and just Fiendish Plot, Fu Manchu, the end.
Now there, John, is a film that could not be remade today.
No, and that's why it's so funny.
I mean, can you imagine that remade for a modern audience?
No. It'll be rioting in the streets. Yeah.
I mean, this is together. I would like to say it's well put together, but I think that would be stretching credibility a little too far. Well, I said I had sprue goo back in stock earlier. That might not be true anymore. I might need to take out of my shop stock. Still, it is an impressive looking thing. What was it like seeing it in reality, John? Oh, have I just asked the question when he's just gone? I think I have.
2001 came out 2 weeks. So the weekend I was born, 2 weekends later, 2001 came out.
I said, John, what was it like seeing the XB70 in?
Yeah, it's crazy. Let me. What was that? My kids marvel at how quickly I can find pictures I want to see. So we went there in 2008.
So, Craig, I haven't watched anything on the BBC now for about 5 years. so I wouldn't know.
Oh, no, it's 2009. Yeah.
Is it a recent show, Craig, or? You'll have to tell me because I'm not familiar with it. Oh, The Day After. I watched that.
God, it's 40 years old, man.
It was made in the 80s. Okay. So I did watch The Day After, and that thing haunted me. Again, the threat of and the fear of a nuclear war was very real at the time. It felt very real, actually, growing up in it. I mean, actually, the actual threat of a nuclear conflict, was highest. Well, the Cuban Missile Crisis, basically, and a couple of incidents since then. But that was the time because a lot of structures weren't in place for the communication between nations that had nukes, so specifically the US and Russia, which got put in place after a lot of these things. So one side can quickly say to the other, hey, by any chance you haven't accidentally launched a nuke, have you? Because it looks like you have, and we're just wondering whether we should nuke you back or not.
So I'm going through I found the photo series. I'm trying to find the picture of the Valkyrie.
I mean, I think it's telling when you see this is the cockpit, and you have like an airliner style door on the side to get in.
Right.
Not many bombers have that. I think, again, When the Wind Blows, Graham, I think that was even more scary because at the time,
no kidding,
you had the snowman and kind of, was it Raymond Briggs? It was, wasn't it? It was quite popular and sort of everybody knew that style because the snowman was so beloved. And then you had that, which was so, because it was normal, and these people didn't know anything about, nuclear weapons and stuff, and were thinking of the Blitz and stuff. It was so chilling because it was that edge on it, right? The normality and the fact that they just died. It was just brutal.
So depressing.
Yeah.
That's the cartoon of the old people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When they follow all the government,
right.
We had this thing about like you would make a shelter. You take all the doors, the interior doors, off the hinges in your house, and prop them up against a wall, an interior wall, with a piece of wood, and you would do all this, cover them with coats and things. This was supposed to be like your shelter for nuclear war. Oh dear. I'll have to look up threads. Yeah, sounds interesting. I mean, nuclear war, we should be so lucky these days, eh? Instead, we've got just devolved societal collapse.
By dawn's early light. Yeah.
I'm just reminded of, was it T.S. Eliot? This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. That's kind of what I feel about today. And on that depressing note,
Yeah.
the good news is no nukes.
Modeling done today, man. Good.
Hey, I got this slab. I mean, you can. Okay, that gives the scale, right?
Oh my gosh.
That's it sitting on my head. That is just the wing section. Okay, I put the. That is. Can I get all of this on cam? Again, that is directly above my head. That is how big it is. It's ridiculous. I mean,
that's yeah.
it is ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad I'm doing it. I think it's a really interesting piece of aviation history, and making a what if of it just puts a little bit of a twist. And but yeah, it's not something I'd recommend anybody getting into unless you really want to build a Valkyrie. It's 1/72, Graham. Originally, it's an AMT tooling. This one is boxed by Italeri, which means that the plastic at least is manageable. Okay, anyway, we are well past my witching hour. So thank you, John, for joining me for this build session.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for everybody for coming along and watching me struggle, watching John actually do some modeling.
I was struggling too, man. Trust me, this is all I did all night.
I mean, mine's more visually impressive in size, but it's, the finesse, not so much. But thank you, everybody, for listening to us witter on about all kinds of different things, including the end of the world, just to end on a low note. And some really interesting things to check out there. I've got to check out Threads now because I've not heard of that, and it sounds like my kind of thing if it's in the same vein as those. And I'm not a 14, 15-year-old now with as fragile an outlook. So I'll probably be robust enough to understand it. But yeah, thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. There will be a premiere tomorrow, which is a review of the ICM 148 scale US aerial target drones, which are actually much more interesting than you might sound. I think I don't want to spoil anything, but I think everybody should have some. I think they're an ideal Mojo build. No cockpit, quite simple, decent size, really like bright color schemes. They're fun little things.
Cool.
But that'll be going out 7:30 tomorrow. When's your next video coming up, John?
I got to lay down the 2K on that Model A, the new ICM Model A, which is a wonderful kit. So, yeah.
I look forward to that. I've seen the first one. So, and guys, if you haven't seen them, go and check them out because it's a really nice kit.
It's a very nice kit.
I'm interested in the color scheme you've done. That looks pretty good.
It's all painted. I just got a 2K. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys, have a great one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.